Besides attacking McDonald's employees for sauce packets, what's the worst fanboy meltdown you've seen in public? Not me but my dad. In the 60s, he won a radio contest to go see A Hard Day's Night at the local movie theater. All shows were sold out. He was really psyched to see it because he was a big Beatles fan. The screaming girls were so loud every time the Beatles' faces appeared that he couldn't hear any dialogue. He left in the middle of the show. Also, fun fact, the Beatles' US concerts were notorious for being so loud with young girls screaming that most people couldn't hear the music. They didn't even bother tuning their guitars. But then when they came to Japan, the crowd really wanted to hear, so they were fairly silent and they had to stop the show to get all the instruments tuned up and mixed properly. It's like comparing pro wrestling in Japan to pro wrestling in the States. Japanese pro wrestling fans will watch an exchange in absolute silence to take it all in. When Japanese fans get loud, you know crap is getting insane. When Frozen came out, I worked at a toy store. When they make toys for movies, they make them well in advance and they often arrive in store before it's even released. So Disney had anticipated that Anna would be the most popular character. So for every box of dolls there was one Elsa to every 3 Annas. So you can imagine that we sold all the Elsa dolls very quickly and were still saturated in Anna dolls. Soccer mums would literally scream at you, "You've ruined Christmas. Worst Christmas ever." Trying to figure out how Disney thought that. If you had asked me who would be more popular, I'd say it would have been the actually magical princess. Alright, so my older brother was like 10, I was like 5, and he loved Pokemon. I mean loved it. Got the cards and games, plastic cases for the cards to protect them. Kid went to a convention in town, talking to some older kids and gents who loved the game, and on his way out he realized that his favorite, and consequently highest valued card, was stolen from him by one of those older kids' grown men. We found the guy but no one could prove it was ours in the first place. He was so heartbroken. My grandma, God bless her soul, went out of her way and bought this expensive but charizard holographic thing, exactly what he had, for a crazy amount of money online. She then took about 4 ordinary but booster decks, opened each one to check for the card. Obviously it's rare, so she finds none. She takes a useless potion card out and slid in the expensive but card into one of the boosters, sealed it with a lighter, then taped all 4 together so that the last one was the altered booster. Birthday rolls around. Brother is doing his thing, happy, but every Pokemon gift kinda brings him down. He misses that card and is sad about the lack of justice or reprimand for that butthole, making him so sad. He gets to the final gift, Mimi's gift. We pull out the video recorder and watch. He goes through the first 3 boosters, gets some good cards and his friends are laughing and looking at them. He is a little happier. Final pack. Gets through all the cards before the Charizard, and by God the look on his face at that last card. I swear he was crying and jumping around. Ran straight to Mimi and hugged her so tight. He thought she had just gotten lucky, but after she passed away we told him that she had done that. I don't remember it well myself, just the way my parents told me in the video itself, which has been long lost after 4 movings. But I'll never forget how incredible it was to see both the worst and best of humans in this story of some Charizard card. Oh my god, what a grandma. When Pokemon Sun Moon came out, I was in game trying to pick between the 2, and because of the time of day, they only had one of each on the shelves. So I'm holding the 2 versions, looking at them both trying to decide which version to get, when this fat 10-year-old, not even just chubby, I mean properly fat, runs up, tries to shove me out the way, and when he sees that there aren't any on the shelves he literally just screams in the middle of the shop. No words, no tears, just screaming, "Ah ah ah ah." Then he saw I was holding the games and he tried to pull them out of my hands, and when I don't let go he screams for his mum, saying I won't give them back. His mum comes over and starts having a go at me, saying I'm stealing from a child. How dare I take them off him? He deserves the game. I don't. Blah blah blah. The guy who was on the shop floor then comes over to see what these 2 are screaming about, and when the woman tells him that I arrived after them and took the games off her precious baby and hit him in the face, he replies by telling her no, I was here before both of them. The woman then starts demanding that she gets one of the copies, to which the guy who was working asked me if I wanted to give them one of the games. This was as the kid was trying to pull them out of my hands still. I walked out the shop 5 minutes later with both copies of the game. Big cheesy grin to mother and child. Return one for a full refund the next day. TLDR. If your child's an entitled brat and you're a rude bee, good luck getting what you want from me. You, dear sir miss, you are my hero. 13 years ago while eating dinner at Dennis, I saw a teenager throw his soup at a grown adult for making a next time on Dragon Ball Z joke while yelling about not making fun of DBZ. They weren't at the same table and didn't know each other. I have worked for a major postpaid and prepaid mobile phone company, in great neighborhoods and in questionable neighborhoods. This story happened a few months ago in a bad part of town where I work now. Customer wanted to get an iPhone the evening before back to school Sunday. We close at 5. At 4:45 dude tells me I am a manager, that he will be back in 5 minutes. He lives 5 minutes away supposedly, to get cash from his home so he can buy himself a new iPhone. I tell him we are going to close at 5 if he is not here. His mom waits in the store. I figure if he's a few minutes it's fine, but I made it clear he has 5 minutes. At 5:15 I tell his mother that we are already counting cash and that I cannot sell her son a phone anymore. Dude arrives at like 5:30 and I let his mother out the door. Dude starts to go thug life on me while his mom is pleading not to do anything. He shoves the door open and pushes me and demands his phone. I immediately tell my employees not to get involved and just call the cops. He went crazy and started cursing everyone out. There's like 6 of us, mostly girls except for me and another dude. His mom is screaming in Spanish not to do anything and pleading with me as well. You can tell this wasn't the first time he got like this. Dude gets in one of my reps' face and calls him a P. Thankfully he didn't do anything. Finally when the dude heard my other rep on the phone with the cops, he walks to his car and threatens to key all of our cars. Nothing happened. Saw the dude at Chili's a week later with his boys. He recognized me. We locked eyes. He didn't do crap. I feel like eating at Chili's kinda takes away any street cred he thought he had. I worked at Best Buy when Star Wars Episode 1 was released on DVD for the first time. I had worked the opening shift and was asked to come in a little early to help set up all the displays. People were camped outside for a few hours before the store opened. About 30 minutes before the store opened, I could see this seething, undulating mass of humanity crowded outside the doors, waiting for them to open so they could grab their copy. I swear it looked like a few of them were trying to Jedi mind trick me into opening the doors early. I was making jokes with my fellow employees when my manager came and asked me to stand by the doors so I could direct the incoming horde to the various displays. There were 2 or 3 of them I think. As I took my place near the doors, the store manager approached the front doors of the store to open them, and I saw the entire mass tense like they were about to run a gauntlet. As soon as the doors opened, the human ocean outside burst its way in. I raised my hand to wave to them in greeting, but before I could get my arm halfway up to greeting position, I was slammed off of my feet as they ran past me. It was like I wasn't even there. I picked myself up, with no injuries other than my pride, and saw these piranhas devour the first display they came to. Within minutes, it seemed, the display was empty. Some customers who hadn't grabbed a copy and didn't realize that we had more in stock started pushing and shouting, and it looked like there might be a brawl erupting at any moment. I tried to tell everyone that we had more, but they were shouting over me. One kid, maybe 9 or 10 years old, was standing next to his mom and crying because he hadn't managed to get a copy. His mom was trying to console him while moving him away from the riotous mass in front of them. I went back to the crowd. Finally it got quiet enough so I could explain that we had more in stock. The remaining crowd rushed to the other displays, and I pulled a copy aside for the boy and his mom and handed it to them so they wouldn't have to be near the buttholes who were ready to fight each other. All of this crap for fricking Jar Jar Binks. God, working at Best Buy specifically really highlights how gross people can be. You've all heard the Black Friday horror stories, so no need to delve into that. I despise the door crowders. All humanity is gone when there's a hyped release. iPhone this, Nintendo that. These fanboys are straight crazy when they rush the doors. The Arby's near me ran a promotion in which it had limited quantities of a deer meat sandwich. Apparently it was only released in certain areas, and within those areas, only certain stores got them. So I'm at Arby's that day randomly, and these two guys come in and try to order the sandwich. The woman at the counter politely told them that they had sold out hours earlier. The one guy started yelling that they had been looking forward to this for weeks. How dare they run out, etc. While the other proceeded to take napkins, straws and containers of ketchup and throw them around the place like it was confetti over a sandwich. I just saw a commercial saying they're bringing it back soon at all locations, and apparently some locations will get elk sandwiches. The guy tossing crap around like confetti is freaking hilarious to me. Don't get me wrong, I've worked food service, and if I'd been there I would have been royally pee, but like, that is so freaking funny to read. Recently happened, still potentially ongoing. I work at a repair shop for computers and we also sell refurbished units. We make very clear they cannot be returned for refund, except in rare cases. We're not totally monsters and occasionally bend the rules a bit if something happens, and can only be exchanged. This dude come in, buys a laptop, comes back the next day wanting to return it since he found a cheaper one on Craigslist. We tell him no, we don't do returns, but I'll run it by a manager to see what we can do. He starts making threats like, well, I don't want to do a chargeback and it'd suck if I had to report you to the BBB, etc. At that point we lost sympathy and the situation went from yeah maybe we'll make an exception to LOL nope. Dude comes back, loses his crap when we tell him the manager denied the refund. I told him we could exchange it for another unit of equal value or he could pay the difference on a higher end one, but he wasn't having it. I showed him the receipt he signed that says no refunds on refurb units and he still was adamant we owed him a refund. He said, well, I'll just leave it here so you have to give me one. He thought if he left it with us it would have to be counted as returned. We let him know it was still his property and if he left it here it'd just go into our lost and found for a month until we count it as abandoned. Dude flips out again, hits a display case, and slams the door so hard the frame rattles. A few days later we get a call from someone at his bank. He attempted a chargeback and they wanted our side of the story. We told them everything and forwarded a copy of his signed receipt. Chargeback denied. He calls us and says he's taking us to small claims court. We basically went LOLK go ahead. The laptop is still sitting in our back room. 5 more days until we count it as abandoned and repurpose it. Your comment saying LOL can I have it is not original. It's been in my inbox 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 twice in a day, 2x multiplier bonus 26, 27 times already. I wouldn't blank it just yet. Save it as evidence for small claims court just in case. Early 2000s. The second LOTR movie had just come out. Good movie. And it's getting close to the huge battle at the end when the fire alarm in the theater went off. Everyone exits, and it turns out to be nothing. For some reason the theater couldn't resume the movie where it was and decided to pass out vouchers instead. In the background I hear some long-haired neckbeard yell about how he had to take off work to see this movie. Neckbeard then proceeded to beat the crap out of a Jungle Book 2 cardboard cutout. RIP Blue the Bear. This one made me giggle. I can just picture some amazing atheist looking dude just pulverizing the Baloo cutout and shrieking. My boyfriend got death threats back when the Xbox One first came out. He worked in a locally owned video game store and they only got 25 systems in, but only had 25 pre-orders. Guy comes in without a pre-order and demanded the system. When he was told that all of the systems had been pre-ordered and they wouldn't get more in for a few more weeks, he flipped his crap, threatening to shoot people and said that the faculty at the store better sleep with one eye open. Unfortunately this is normal around console releases. Luckily I don't think he ever came back. Right after the PS4 came out, the store's second shipment of consoles got delayed because their distribution center got hit by a tornado. Grown adults throwing temper tantrums and throwing out more death threats because a town hundreds of miles away was hit by a natural disaster and people's lives are in ruins, but as long as you get your console. I used to run a Pokemon League and a mom moved to get me removed from the league because I told her son he had to use a different outlet to charge his 3DS because he was blocking a fire exit. I even set up a bench next to it for him. I worked in a video game store myself for nearly a year. I had a plethora of people who would blame me for a game being delayed. cancelled or even just not existing. Like they would ask for GTA 6 and when I inform them that it doesn't exist they insinuate that I'm lying to them and they hope I go out of business because now they're just going to buy it from GameStop. I had a couple coming in asking for first party N64 controllers, but they only wanted the clear ones. I put them on a waiting list and said I would call them once we got some in. They checked back every other day for about 2.5 weeks asking if we got any. A while passed and someone traded in a buttload of N64 stuff. I call them and tell them I can keep it for 3 days and they say they will be there tomorrow. They didn't show up and after a week I had to sell it. 2 months later they come in asking for it and I inform them that the hold period had long since ended and they start screaming at me and huff out of the store. I love video games and I think there's a lot of great things that come out of the industry and the communities that they inspire. But there's huge pockets of toxicity that need to be addressed. Oh, I just remembered another story. He had a lady come in wanting to get Mario on the 360 for her kid. When told that it didn't exist she threw a fit and demanded he go into the back and make it. If it's so freaking important to you that you're willing to threaten to murder multiple people, or even one person, really, over it, pray to the dang console. Working at Babbage's, one of the store's Barnes & Noble picked up as they consolidated everything into GameStop. We're told to not hold any copies of State of Emergency for anyone under any circumstance, obviously other than pre-orders. First come, first serve. It was launch day. It was popular. It was going to sell out. Dude calls and asks if we have it. I tell him that we have one left, but I cannot at all guarantee it will be there when he gets to the store. My manager was being a real tight butt about it, so I'm not risking PM off. Guy on phone says he'll be there in 15 minutes. I repeat that I cannot guarantee the one copy of the most popular game of the day is going to be in stock when he gets here. He hangs up. As soon as I hang up the phone, a customer in the store asks for it. Yep, sell them the copy. 15 minutes later, dude from the phone call comes in. He's pissed, yells at me for a minute, yells at my manager for 5 minutes. We apologize and remain civil. He threatens to kill us. We call mall security. He leaves before they get to the store. One night about 15 years ago, I had to be escorted to my car by the police because a man threatened to kill me because he couldn't purchase State of Emergency. I don't drink and I don't play poker, but I won the poker tourney at the local brewery. The guy sitting next to me the whole night, wearing sunglasses, talking probability, and complaining that I wasn't paying attention to the game, really flipped out, and it was glorious. I won a gift certificate for beer. Mine wasn't necessarily a fanboy, but it was their mother. It was Black Friday a couple years ago and somehow I let my other half convince me to go with her. I thought it'd be a good idea to go to Kohl's because they had a really nice deal on a PS4 bundle. We get there like a half hour early, pretty close to the front of the line and waiting to go inside. I'd never done Black Friday prior to this, so I was not prepared for the idiocy that would ensue. They opened the doors and everyone sprinted into the door, like full freaking sprint, and people were trying to push us out of the way as we were just walking to go inside. I make my way to the back of the store where the electronics department is. Meanwhile there are people literally darting around the store grabbing item after item looking like rabid maniacs. I get to the back of the store and I see a stack of PS4s and a line of people waiting for them. So I get to the back of the line and the closer I get the smaller the pile of PS4s gets. At this point I'm just accepting that I probably won't get one and it's really not a big deal. Only reason I was picking one up was to save a few bucks. Well, I'm second in line and there is one more PS4 on the stack. The lady and her son in front of me are about to get it, but I couldn't quite tell if it was the last one because people were everywhere and I didn't have a clear line of sight. So I ask her, hey, can you tell if that's the last one? She then turns around, looks me dead in the eye and says, you're dang right it isn't, you're not going to freaking get it. Understand, butthole? I was dumbfounded honestly, so I just kind of shook my head and told her that it wasn't that big of a deal as she continued to make snide comments under her breath and people all over the store were arguing and fighting for different items or yelling at the employees to find things and just generally being rude as frick. The lady gets a PS4 that she was ready to fight to the death for and walks away giving me the stare of death. And I just shake it off and ask the employee who was handing them out if there were any left. Sure enough, they had another pallet in the back and were just waiting to bring them out. So I ended up getting one, but I've never seen so many people act so goddamn rude over material items. It was the first and last time I had ever attending any store for Black Friday. Never again. We also went to several other stores that night for my ex and all of them were equally terrible. Guess this isn't really a fanboy story, but it was just people all melting down in public by the droves. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.